Hello Ninjas, this is Larry Kendall, and it's my honor to be with you today and share a few thoughts on the current market and what's going on with the coronavirus and the economy. You know, I think the first thing that we need to remember is that as ninjas, we want to be players, not victims. And it's all about our mindset. In this particular situation, your mindset is critical. And so we need to make sure we have a player's mindset. You know, I was talking to one of our top producers this week, and I said, how you doing? And she said, I'm evolving. And I said, evolving? She says, yeah, the definition of evolution is the ability of a species to adapt to its environment so that it can survive. And certainly we want to adapt to our environment, adapt to this market in order to not only survive, but also thrive. And so I'd like to give you some tips. Tip number one is this: there is still a market. We're in one of the three basics of life: food, shelter, and clothing. People need what we have. We're not some sort of fad type of product. And there are people right now who need to move and they need to buy houses. And we're seeing in our market that the market is still very strong. In fact, what we're seeing is a lot of sellers are taking their homes off the market. And as a result, there's not enough supply. And we're seeing a return of multiple offers on the listings that are available. You know what happens when you take one of the three basics of life and you disrupt it? And what happens is it builds pent-up demand. And so we're seeing, as we come out of the coronavirus, we see a pent-up demand and we see a surge of real estate activity. In fact, Don Tennyson, one of our instructors, put it this way. He says, I don't think we're going to see a loss of income. I think we're just going to see a postponement of that income. We will probably sell in 9 months what we used to sell in 12 months. So, you know, in these times, a lot of people are laying awake at night. They're worried about not only the virus, but they're also worried about their finances. And one thing that I would like to offer as an idea to help them and for us to help our clients is this. I was talking with my son and his wife the other night on FaceTime. They both live in Las Vegas. They're both in the entertainment business. Our daughter-in-law is a performer with Cirque du Soleil. Our son is a sound engineer for shows. And both of them are shut down. They're unemployed at this point. All of the casinos are closed. All the Cirque shows are closed. And they're at home with a 2-year-old wondering, how are we going to make it through this? They have a couple of months of savings and they can make it a couple of months, but then they said, what after that? And I had to remind them that they're sitting on $150,000 of home equity. And I recommended that they go down to the bank and arrange for a home equity line of credit so that they have a safety net. And you know, when you look at the home equity in this country, there's a term called tappable equity. That is, what is the equity in homes in the United States that are available to be pulled out in a home equity line of credit? It's $6.3 trillion. And 2/3 of all households own a home. And they've experienced 10 or 11 years of appreciation. So they have equity. And I really believe that the homes that people own are probably going to be one of the safety nets and maybe one of the things that saves the economy. Certainly it could be one of the things that saves them. And it's our job to make sure that they understand that so that they can start sleeping again at night. It's interesting, when I went through that with our son and daughter-in-law, I watched the color return to their faces and I watched them start breathing again. And now they called me and they're sleeping again. You know, as ninjas, it's not what happens, it's how we respond to what happens that really matters. And one of the things we need to do in our response is to focus on Stephen Covey's 3 circles of life. Do you remember these? The outer circle is the circle of concern. The middle circle is the circle of influence. And the center circle is the circle of control. Players, ninjas, focus on the circle of control and the circle of influence. Don't get trapped in the circle of concern. That's the media. That's certain parts of the social media. And this is not a time to be, self-quarantining at home and spending the day watching the news or watching what's happening on social media. It's not a time to be a hermit. It's a time to fully engage in your circle of control and your circle of influence, to be calling your clients, calling your friends, taking care of your family, focusing on the things over which you have control and that you have influence. One of the best things you can do is the Ninja 9. What we know about the Ninja 9 is it can be done totally from your home. Everything in that Ninja 9, think about it. Can you get up in the morning and give thanks? Do your gratitudes, do your affirmations, do your positive reading? Can you write your personal notes? Can you call everybody on your hot list and your warm list? And do your client service calls? And you know what? On your real estate reviews, you can do those via Zoom or GoToMeeting. And certainly you want to be in flow with at least 50 people per week. And don't get too hung up on the technology. You know, it doesn't have to be a Zoom call. You can just pick up the phone and call somebody. And you know, Ninja habit number 9 on your database. I have so many ninjas calling me now saying, you know what, I'm finally getting my database the way I want it. So many times we were so busy working in our business, we never had time to work on our business. And this is a great time to work on our business, to get that database the way you want it, to learn the technology that you've always been wanting to learn. Now's the time to focus on that Ninja 9. And you know what? You can double down on it. You don't have to write just 2 personal notes. You can write 10. This is the time. And you know what you're doing when you're doing your Ninja 9? You're planting seeds. You know, in the fall when we start doing our business planning, we always recommend that you have your business plan ready to go by the 1st of November. And why is that? Because it takes about 60 days once you implement a business plan for it to start to show results. It's like planting seeds. It takes a little while for them to germinate and start to grow before you have a harvest. That's the way it is right now. Think of it as right now you're taking the next 60 days to plant those seeds so that when there's that pent-up demand and when there's that surge and when there's that harvest, you're ready to go. If you're going to be a hermit and just wait for the market to come back or the economy to come back, when it comes back, it'll come back with such force you're not going to be ready for it. If you're doing the work now, you will be ready. And you'll be there for the harvest and you'll be there for the pent-up demand. You know, I've been through a number of these cycles in my real estate career, and every time we go through something like this, I ask myself, what's the wake-up lesson? What is the lesson that I need to learn from this? I really believe that life gives us lessons, and we either learn the lesson or we get the lesson again. So what are the lessons from this particular situation? Well, let me ask you this. What is the health lesson? Do you have the health that you would like to have? You know, if the coronavirus were to attack you, how would your body respond? Are you healthy? Is your immune system tuned up? Or would you be susceptible? We want to have a healthy life and a healthy body. And so if you're not as healthy as you think you would like to be, now's the time to get started on that. Secondly, what about your wealth? Are you laying awake at night worrying about what am I going to do for the next couple of months if I don't have income? So I'd like to close with a perspective. You know, I think when we get through this, we're going to look back and we're going to say, you know what? I'm so grateful for the things that many times I took for granted. I have ninjas calling me and telling me that now, that they just would like to be able to go and have a meeting. They remember saying to themselves, gee, I got to get to this meeting. Now they would say to themselves, I get to go to the meeting. Or I have to have an open house. And now they would say, I get to have an open house. Or I get to go on an appointment. So it's a time for gratitude and really giving thanks for some of the things that maybe we took for granted that are pretty basic. I'd like to close with a quote, actually a couple of quotes. The first one is from Robin Sharma. And you've heard me talk about Robin before. He's an international business coach, and I love his perspective. He says, "This will pass. Our world needed a wake-up call. There was too much greed, selfishness, and busyness. There was too much rampant addiction to technology at the sake of decency and humanity. There was too much human doing instead of human being. This is a sad, dramatic, tragic, and vicious recalibration. Life is forcing us to slow down, to reconnect with our best selves, and ponder a better future." I'd like to share one final quote. This was posted on social media by one of our ninja instructors, Melanie Frank. Melanie didn't write this, but it was written by Laura Kelly Finucci. I don't know Laura, but I love her words. She doesn't have a title, but I call it gratitude. When this is over, may we never again take for granted a handshake with a stranger, full shelves at the store, conversations with neighbors, a crowded theater, or Friday night out. The taste of communion, or a routine checkup. The school rush each morning, or the stadium roaring. Each deep breath, a boring Tuesday, life itself. And when this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be, that we hope to be, and may we stay that way forever. Thank you for joining us.